Welcome to the Haven Collective. I'm Sonia Brown, and this is the Beacon Bit. Today we're reflecting on Genesis 18 and Hebrews 13. I grew up in a household where we had to provide a meal or snack or refreshment to anyone who came to our house to visit. My parents usually knew the visitor. They would instruct my sister and I to prepare food for the visitor. How much or what type of food varied depending on how long the visitor would stay in our home. We would prepare a hot meal if the person stayed a while, or make a sandwich if it was a quick visit. I like this idea of having meals or snacks on hand for visitors, and it's something that I try to continue to this day. Recently, I had a guest where I fixed a meal for the visitor, and it was a nice way to catch up with the person, and it made the time together extra special. One thing that has changed is how inconvenient it may be with an unwanted visitor. The last thing I want after a long day at work is someone coming over unannounced. I honestly prefer to have time on my own to unwind from the stresses of the day. It's difficult to always be ready to welcome someone. That is why I found the instructions in Hebrews 13 to never neglect showing hospitality challenging. How often are the people who need hospitality angels in disguise? The preacher in Hebrews encourages us to always show hospitality to strangers because we could be entertaining God. The author understands Genesis 18 of how God shows up in everyday life. In Genesis 18, God appears to Abraham disguised as three visitors. Abraham is hospitable by running to meet the three strangers, bows to them, provides water, washes their feet, welcomes them to rest, provides bread or cakes made with choice flour, and a meal for them. God has charged Abraham to keep his ways by doing righteousness and justice. Abraham's hospitality to strangers is one of honor, where he follows the cultural norm. Abraham's story is part of the narrative where he represents the destiny of his family. The outcome of Abraham of keeping the Lord's way by doing righteousness and justice are great, and mighty nations and kings have come from him. It's interesting how the preachers in Hebrews uses the story of Genesis 18 to discuss hospitality and insists that any stranger might be God in disguise. The response from us in turn should be to put in action hospitality by changing the stranger to a guest, allow them to rest, and to share our resources. The implication then is that we should treat every stranger as though God is present undercover. How does that change the conversation of immigration? Today, Jesus followers are still called to practice hospitality. Hospitality is an expression of love within the Christian faith, and the place we reside should be a place of shelter. We are called to be gracious hosts and work towards generosity towards strangers. It's difficult today because we are constantly warned of stranger danger. We hear how those who are leaving hardship, war, and terror are immigrating to a safer homeland could be harmful to us. God calls us to reason and understand how we could be helpful in hopeless circumstances that bring a person to travel to far-off lands in search for a better life. How does our approach to immigration change if we assume those seeking shelter, food, or asylum are God in disguise? This week in our Beacon gatherings, we're going to discuss this reframing of the conversation around immigration. I look forward to hearing your insights, concerns, and wisdoms. Until Sunday, grace and peace be with you.